Helga from Helga's Pennsylvania Cooking, and this is another for the Helga's Happy Holiday series. Today I'm doing another sugar cookie recipe. I've done Mike's mom's recipe, which is really good with the sour cream, nice soft cookie. This recipe is my dad's favorite. This is a thicker cutout cookie recipe. He always liked his with anise flavoring. I'm doing vanilla because Mike and I like vanilla better, especially Mike. But I also like them with lemon. But you could use any flavoring you like for this dough. It's a really versatile dough. These are thicker cookies, and I ice these. The dough it has to be chilled quite a while before you work the dough. But this is dough that you can also freeze. And if you want to do sugar cookies for a head, I actually will take the dough, roll it into a log, cut it into slices, and then you can just freeze the slices and make sugar cookies anytime that aren't cutouts, but you get that wonderful, nice, soft, big, thick sugar cookie feel. So, let's get to it. For these cutout sugar cookies, you're going to need flour, room temperature butter, baking powder, milk, salt, a couple eggs, and vanilla. And we have to sift the flour and the baking powder and salt. So, let's get to it. And we're going to sift my dry ingredients. Flour, the salt, the baking powder. Next we're going to do the wet ingredients. I've got my butter in there. I'm going to add the milk, add my vanilla, and my 2 eggs, and my sugar. And now we will beat until fluffy. Next I'm going to add in my flour and a couple portions and mix. My dough is mixed up. It's going to be pretty firm, as you can see, and I'm going to roll that into a ball and put it into a bowl and cover and put it in the fridge to chill for several hours. We want it nice and firm before we roll it out into our cookie shapes. There it is, ready to go in the fridge. Now this needs to chill for several hours. You can even let it chill overnight. You can also freeze this dough. This dough freezes well for a later date if you want to take it out to make sugar cookies later. Roll them into the shapes that you like. I've got some stars, and we'll do some deer. The dough is very stiff, but you want it to be that way so it holds up in the oven. I've done my dough here in smaller sections. It just makes it easier to work with because it is still very cold, but it's also when you want to actually work with it. And they're out of the oven. Next we're going to make the icing. For this buttercream frosting you only need a few ingredients. Obviously butter, but heavy cream or cream half and half, whole milk, you can use any of those. Cream's usually the best for the nicest, creamiest consistency. Vanilla, a little bit of salt for the to make it not quite so sweet, and then 4 to 5 cups of confectioner's sugar. First, using the paddle attachment, I'm going to take my butter and I'm going to beat that for about 2 minutes until creamy. It might be a little bit longer. Next we're going to add in our vanilla and our milk our salt and our sugar. I'm starting with 4.5 cups, but we can always add more. And slowly beat that in. And we have our buttercream. Now, a couple notes. If you want this to be really white, you can get clear vanilla. I don't bother. I'm going to color this anyway, since we're using it for cookies. But that's a consideration for other decorating and for cakes. If your confectioner's sugar is very lumpy, sift it first, so you don't have any lumps going into this. If it's too thick, you can add a little bit of milk to soften it out. If it's a little too thin, you can always add a little bit more confectioner's sugar to stiffen it up. So, but this is the basics, and it came out pretty darn nice. Now I want to color my icing because, you know, holidays. I'm going to do some blue. Mix that in, red and green. Make this how dark you want it to be or how light you want it to be. Just mix it in really good. A note about using food coloring with icings. With buttercream you can use the liquid and it's fine. If you're making royal icing, which is totally different, and that sets up differently and hard, where this stays soft and creamy, you want to use a gel food coloring because the liquid will change the consistency of your food color. That's actually pretty good. I was going for light blue, so that's pretty good. And I'm going to get the other ones mixed up and then we'll ice our cookies. And now comes the fun part. And it wouldn't be Christmas without sprinkles. Or these. And there we have our buttercream frosting used for our sugar cookies. And they're done. You know what comes next. Now for the best part, the taste test. So, you can see my sugar cookies. You can see that they were pretty light on the bottom. Like I said, when you're doing these, the top won't probably even look like they're done, but as soon as you have the first hint of gold on the bottom, you want to pull them. And I did mine in my oven for 8 minutes. It actually calls for a higher temp. I do them at 350, and at 350 at around 8 minutes was about right. If you do them at the temperature that the original recipe calls for, I think they're done too much. The other point to this is you want them soft. Now these are not as moist a cookie as the sour cream sugar cookies that Mike's mom recipe that I've made. It's a different recipe. This is a thick cookie, as you can see here. It's much thicker, and the icing is what helps give it more moisture. Not that it's super dry, but the icing gives it a lot more moisture. But this kind of cookie holds up to the icing better. For the sour cream cookies, they are more delicate, and for those I would use the royal icing. The royal icing hardens. It's beautiful, but it's thinner and it hardens like a shell, and that's perfect with the moist cookie. This is a little bit drier. It's not a shortbread, but a little bit drier cookie like that. And this buttercream icing gives it the extra creaminess and moisture that you might want. So they offset each other really nicely. So like I said, for the Mike's Mom's sour cream sugar cookies, I would do the royal icing, but for these you want the good buttercream. And it comes out so pretty. I didn't have time to do a lot of decorating. In years past, my mom and I would do up trays of these with all kinds of animals and shapes and stuff. And you know, this working for a living really gets in the way of the rest of my life. So, but buttercream icing, this is good on cakes. This is a really good cake icing as well. But you know, now we got to eat it. I did reindeer too, because you know, 'tis the season. And so I don't feel guilty, we'll just bite his head off first. Oh man, so good. It's like mini cakes. You see how nice that cookie is inside. Yeah, just like mini cakes. Delicious. I really love these. And I'm not a big sugar cookie person. They're not my most favorite cookie. But I love these. And like I said, you can add the different extracts. Almond, my dad liked anise. I like lemon. These are straight vanilla, but you can knock yourself out with any other flavors that you might want to play with. And the icing, as you saw, you can do up in different colors and do all kinds of different things. So that's the sugar cookie with buttercream icing, and you got to make these for Christmas. Honestly, you do. Or you can do Hanukkah stars, Hanukkah cookies. Got to have Hanukkah cookies. So there you go. They're not that easy. They're not that hard to make. They just take some time. And like I said, this dough, you can freeze this dough and get it out later and make them later. So you can do the dough ahead of time, put it in the freezer, let it go a week, couple weeks, and come back to them when you have time. You can also freeze the icing. Just make sure you're careful when you thaw it out, and it will change consistency a little bit, but it'll still be good. So there you have it. Give it a shot.